Oh, hey guys, Tom Solo here. I'm just reading my books for the week. I'll tell you about every single one.
Love or hate it.
Lenticular,
All the comics we buy,
lenticular,
put us side by side.
brick by brick,
We built these channels and we're proud of it.
our nerd life.
Ain't putting nothing above lenticular.
All the comics we buy,
Lenticular,
put us side by side.
brick by brick.
We built these channels and we're proud of it.
Our nerd life
Ain't putting nothing above it. New comic book Wednesday.
All right,
you
so
know
let's start
where
with
I'm
what
at.
we have today. I want to bust through some reviews this week. I'm going to go through all the books that I've read so far, which is 5. So normally I usually only review 3 in these ones, but I like to keep it still under 10 minutes if I can. So I'm going to try to bust in right away. So first up, we got Regression. This is from Cullen Bunn and Danny Luckert. This is the second issue. The first one was real. This takes place. It's an Image comic book, so it's a horror comic book, and it takes place in this guy's life where he was gone into some. He saw a hypnotist, and they possibly brought back in a previous life of his who was like a sadistic killer, and he's having all these hallucinations, and it's really gross. And but there's also like he may be swapping lives with that man, because there's a point in this where he cuts back. But overall, this is a very cool horror comic book from Image. Cullen Bunn's doing great work over at Marvel, as you guys know right now, and so I definitely suggest, if you're liking his Marvel work, come over here and pick this up. You know, it's fun. I'll actually be talking about 2 horror books today, and usually I don't even read that many, but this one is definitely one that I'm definitely enjoying. So Regression number 2, I will definitely give this 5 out of 6 beers, my friends, and I push you to pick it up because it's still so new that you'd be able to. All right, next, let's go right from horror to horror. The Master of Horror, Steve Niles. Is that what he's called? Who knows? But I've read different Steve Niles books over the years. He likes to keep it dark. He has that one character that's a vampire that I really like. God dang it, what's that guy's name? Well, anyway, Criminal Macabre. So yeah, I love that book from him, and so I was excited to check this out. Image number 1, I'll give it a chance. We go in through, and it's called Winnebago Graveyard. Steve Niles, and art and design by Allison Sampson. We get a kind of a gritty art style, almost sketchy, really thin inks, and put together quick, but decent storytelling. We have some sort of odd situation where people are getting abducted, and this town is gone, and like this person was stolen, and then they're trying to like bring other people back alive out of their bodies. It's all very. We don't know where it is all going yet, but I definitely enjoyed the read. Did it make me want to keep reading? No. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. It did not. I don't think this is a bad book by any way. But I just felt like Regression was kind of, I guess, what I was looking for. This is more like almost a classic horror family going on a vacation, shows up to an empty village where a bunch of crazy shit's happening. I've heard that story before, and if you like that story, you got to get this book. But right now, I'm not really looking for that story, so I will still give it 3 out of 6 beers, but I don't think I'll be picking up issue number 2. So let's go right in. We did 2 Image number 1s. Or 2 Image series. Might as well make it another one. And this is another number 1 from Image. And as you can see down here, we get Skybound. And so we know that's Robert Kirkman is actually the guy who's the Skybound guy. So I'm going to pick it up. I like Walking Dead a lot. Some of his other series have been hit or miss, but I did really like Invincible. Kill the Minotaur has nothing to do with Robert Kirkman, so I don't know why that had any bearing on it. So I also did think this was a cool cover. It looked like a really big book, and when I flipped through it, I did flip through it in the store at Rainbow Comics in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and it was almost a throwback style, but then it looked like a story about, ancient Greek times, the Greeks, the Romans, gods, things like that is what I assumed. And that's kind of what it is. It takes place in those times, but what the main difference is this is like tells a smaller story. So even all of that stuff is going on. It tells this alternate story of this King Minos who's kind of like going crazy, and Theseus, another person, has to go and go undercover to try to get behind there and kill him, but the person that sets him up gets killed, and then he is trapped by Minos, and he's going to have to make his way through this labyrinth, some sort of thing that King Minos pays tribute to, he says, his son. I don't know if it's a son or a demon or something else, but this definitely book had a lot going on. So, you know, like, here's this maze right away, here's like the demon thing, and this is where Theseus is going to go, but this is just a little foreshadowing. We actually get into the heart of it, and we get this kind of a good story of these two brothers who are royalty, and they see that this King Minos is coming to their town, and they have to give up, they have to sacrifice some villagers, and the villagers turn on them and don't like him anymore. Rightfully so. And then Theseus, though, he's kind of like a dumbass, and it's like, I guess I shouldn't say he's a dumbass, but he jumps to conclusions, but what makes it so bad is they use modern language. So even though this takes place back in the day, they're like using curse words like we would now, and so it's like this mixture because they're using all these ancient Roman and Greek names, but then mixed in with like the way that we would talk now. That took me out of the story like 5 or 6 times when I went through this. Granted, it is kind of a good story, and I kind of like where it's story if somebody would tell it to me, but reading that dialogue and having it in between modern, kind of jokey, kind of action, it almost felt like it was trying to be pushed to be a TV show or a movie, not a comic book. So, granted, I did think it was okay. The dialogue took me out of it, and I probably won't be picking up issue number 2. Rating, 2.5 out of 6 beers. Okay, let's get away from that indie stuff and look at some Marvel superheroes. First, I want to talk about this first because I was so excited to actually, this comic was so good. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, I'm sorry I haven't been reading it the whole time. I absolutely love this. This series. This is classic comic booking, no stakes, very fun, adventurous, funny, doesn't take itself seriously, but tells like a good, enjoyable story. As I'm reading through this, I absolutely love like every single part of it. So this one starts up and we get Boys Night Out. So Squirrel Girl goes to another dimension and we get Koi Boy, Brain Drain, and oh man, I can't believe I can't remember the other guy's name. Chippy the Hunk. Chip Hunk. But they just call him Thomas most of the time. Or Tomas. And these guys are supposed to protect New York City while Squirrel Girl's away. And then they go out on the first night, and every time they go to stop somebody, a different superhero shows up. So they run into Captain Marvel and Spider-Man and Green Goblin and a bunch of other Marvel superheroes. But every time they do, some superhero saves them, and it's no big deal. They walk away. Later, they find out that these are no superheroes or villains, just regular people dressed up like them to try to scam people out of still stealing them. Well, then the next day, they stop all these people, and there's not one crime is committed in New York City. Squirrel Girl comes back, and everybody's happy. Hilarity ensues the whole time. But I definitely enjoy this comic book, even without Squirrel Girl. It's just the voice of the author that makes this story better than most that are coming out there. Or other comics that try to do what this doesn't do it as well. So, you know, hats off to Ryan North. All right, and then we get X-Men Blue. This team kind of completes its setup by adding Wolverine. This isn't Wolverine, actually. It's Jimmy Hudson, Wolverine's son from the Ultimate Dimension. And we find out that Miss Sinister has been trying to take these people that have escaped out of the Ultimate Universe as it ended and bring them in and, you know, twist them to use as her pawns. So she's chasing after this guy. Jimmy Hudson. And then so our team, the XMen Blue, also are chasing after them. We get into this big thing with the Miss Sinisters using the new Martyrs to find him. So they get this three-way fight where it's you know, the new Wolverine, which, I mean, his name's Jimmy Hudson. They haven't given him his code name yet. Jimmy Hudson, the new Martyrs, X-Men, you know, Team Blue, and then also Jean Grey's talking to Miss Sinister through telepathy. So there's a lot going on, but it's just classic story or comic booking as well in that comic book genre. I mean, everybody's punching everybody. Punch first, ask questions second. As we go through, Miss Sinister finds out that there's this new Jean Grey, and she doesn't even care about Wolverine anymore or Jimmy Hudson anymore, because she thinks she can use this new Jean Grey, this young Jean Grey, against her, because we know how powerful she's going to be. Jean Grey doesn't know how to feel about that. A lot of things are in question, but Wolverine decides to just join the team. And so now we got a full lineup. They even say, hey, you could be our Wolverine of the team. We didn't get any beast magic this time, which was nice. So it was, you know, I guess I haven't been liking that Beast is now into magic, but what we did get that was really good that I also didn't really like in the other ones was Iceman was kind of driving me nuts. He's not very funny. I didn't think he was very funny. And then in this issue, him and Quicksilver have a sweet back and forth that's super fun and funny. So I definitely enjoyed this comic and I suggest you guys pick it up as well. I'd give this sucker 5 out of 6 beers, and I give this one 6 out of 6 beers. Comic books are great. I like comics. You like comics. We should get together and talk about it, right? Oh yeah, we do. In the comment section. Please comment, subscribe, watch our other channels, check out Sergeant America's channel, check out the Boarding and Bagging Bad Boy, and get yourself to comics and cards, or get yourself to Rainbow Comics Cards and Collectibles. Later!